Hari Om. Welcome you all for this online platform of Ancient Indian Literature, Science and Technology, a Knowledge Share lecture series. I am a Dr. Subhash Kakandaki, Director of National Institute of Vedic Science and Founder President of Prasanna Venkata Research Foundation Trust, Bangalore, one of the organizers of this lecture series. So far, 13 lectures based on Bhagavad Gita were delivered in this forum. Initially, 4 lectures were delivered by Dr. B.V.K. Shastri, Chancellor of Yoga Sanskritam University, Florida, USA. And subsequently, 9 lectures were delivered by Dr. V.R. Panchmukhi, former Chancellor of Rashtriya Sanskrita University at Tirupati. I am sure all of you got benefited by the hidden knowledge shared by these two experts. Now, new series of lecture with basic theme of science and technology in ancient India is going to begin from today with this lecture being given by another great expert in this domain, Dr. Y.S. Gayatri. She is very popular in the field of Vedic science, Sanskrit and Indology, and many of you may be knowing her. But it is customary for me to introduce her in this forum to all of you. Dr. Y.S. Gayatri, born in the family of great Sanskrit scholar at Mysore. She is the granddaughter of a royal Sanskrit Vidwan, Pandit Yadatore Chandrasekhar Shastri. Under his guidance, gained a traditional Sanskrit knowledge. She also obtained Vidvat and Alankara degree in Sanskrit from Chamarajendra Sanskrita Vidyapitha, Mysore. Subsequently, she did Bachelor of Science and pursued her master degree in Sanskrit literature from Bangalore University and obtained her MA in Sanskrit and also doctoral degree in Vedic mathematics from the Sanskrit department of Bangalore University. She worked as Professor of Sanskrit in Balaji Pre-University College at Bangalore for over 3 decades. Recently she retired and currently she is working as a visiting faculty at Ramaya Degree College in the Department of Sanskrit. She has presented and published more than 50 research papers in national and international conference proceedings in the field of Sanskrit literature, Vedic science and Indology related subjects. She also organized many national and international events in this domain, and she has authored many books in Kannada, English, Sanskrit, and Hindi in the field of ancient Indian and knowledge system, and also translated many books from Sanskrit to Kannada and Kannada and Sanskrit to English and vice versa, and also in Kannada. She is currently doing a translation work in a very interesting project, that is a Pali Kannada Kosha project of Pali Language Institute, and she is also one of the founder member of our National Institute of Vedic Science. She associated with this institution for more than a decade, and she was also honorary deputy director of this institute and conducted many courses in Vedic science to students as well as the working professionals. Next couple of weeks, she will deliver her lecture in this forum and share the hidden knowledge of ancient scripture. So I will welcome her on behalf of all three organizations as well as all of you. Now I will hand over for her to begin her lecture series. Thank you very much.
अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. I salute all the gurus and all the elders and all my colleagues and friends here. So Namo Gurubhyaha, Namo Arbhakebhyaha. India is a knowledge seeker from times immemorial. We know that our ancient sages and seers had given us the treasure of knowledge to us. Bhagavad Gita says, Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. There is nothing in this world which is as pure as this knowledge. So how to acquire the knowledge? Gita only gives us the answer. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. A man with interest can acquire the knowledge. So it also says jnanam vijnana sahitam, which means knowledge includes science. So India, our motherland, is a seeker of knowledge from times immemorial, we said. So along with this cultural knowledge, along with the adhyatmic knowledge, we have also contributed to the scientific field also. As soon as we say that science in ancient India, a number of questions rises in every mind. So it is very well known that India is a land of knowledge. But from when the science was existing there? So Jnana and Vijnana were there from times immemorial. So in Vedic and Upanishadic literature, Vijnana means Vishesha Jnana, that is the special knowledge. So in Bhrigavalli of Taittiriya Upanishad, Vijnana is considered to be Brahma. So Bhrigu, the son of Varuna, goes to his father seeking the knowledge of Brahman. So he asks him to do penance, and when he does the penance, he comes to the so Panchakosha Vidya. We can see that first he comes to know that the food is the Annam Brahmeti Vyajana, the food is the Brahma, and next level he goes to Prana level, that is Pranamaya Kosha, that is the vital energy is the Brahma, Manomaya Kosha, then his level of knowledge was elevated, and he comes to the conclusion that mind is Brahma and Vijnanam Brahma. Then the next level is the special knowledge is Brahma. So this special knowledge is not one. So that Vijnanam Brahmeti Vyajanat Vijnanaadhyeva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante Vijnanena Jatani Jivanti Vijnanam Prayanti Abhisamvishanti iti. So this holds good for today's environment, that is Vijnanam Brahma, that is the creation is done by science. We know that cloning is there, test tube babies are being created, and the sustenance of life we can't imagine without the electrical and electronic gadgets today. So the sustenance of life and the protection of life is with Vijnana, and also we know that the harmful bombs and the destructive bombs that are invented and discovered by Vijnana, and it is the cause for destruction also. So Vijnanam Brahmeti Vyajana. And this Vijnana is very well included in the Vedic hymns and in Brahmanas, Upanishads, and the literature in the coming forth in the literature which evolved later in the later period. So I would like to quote Swami Vivekananda here about the greatness of our motherland. In ancient and modern times, wonderful ideas have been carried forward from one race to another. It has been always with the blast of trumpets and the march of embattled cohorts. Each idea had to be soaked in a deluge of blood. Each word of power had to be followed by the groans of millions, by the wails of orphans, by the tears of widows. This many other nations have taught, but India, for thousands of years, peacefully existed. Ideas of after ideas have marched out from her, but every word has been spoken with a blessing behind it and peace before it. We of all nations of the world have never been a conquering race, and that blessing is on our head, and therefore we live. So this is the quotes of Swami Vivekananda from our about our motherland. So John A. Wheeler about thought process in ancient India has said this: my wonderful mentor Niels Bohr had gone into deep interest into the Upanishads, more he told me in the questions than in the answers. I like to think that someone will trace out how the deepest thinking of India made its ways to Greece, and from there to the philosophy of our times. This is from last page of Modern Physics and Vedanta by Swami Jitatmananda. And generosity and openness of our ancestors is indicated by this Rigvedic hymn, Ano Bhadra Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. Let the noble thoughts come to us from everywhere. And about the science, almost all the branches of science have evolved in India, and some were at the developmental stage, and some were at the developed stage, some were at the rooting stage, some were at the sprouting stage, sprouting stage. But the seed to all the branches of science has been sown in India. And many theories are there to explain the creation of the universe. So, Nasadiya Sukta of Rigveda, which is Rigveda in 7 mantras, tell about the whole theory of creation. And also the Purusha Sukta of Rig Veda, which is from 10th Mandala and 8th Ashtaka, also explains the theory of creation. And Mundakopanishad, the first Kanda, 7th mantra, also explains the creation. And Bhusukta of Atharva Veda, 12th Kanda and first mantra of Bhusukta of Atharva Veda, explains us about the theory of creation. And who really knows, who can swear, how creation came, when or where. Even gods came after creation's day. Who really knows, who can truly say when and how did creation start? Oh, did he do it or did he not? Only he up there knows, maybe, or perhaps not even he. This is from the Nasadiya Sukta of Rig Veda about the creation. And also Rigveda's 10th Mandala 121st Sukta tells us about the Hiranyagarbha. And also there is a recounting the creations of gods. Rigveda states, Devanam Navayam Jana Param Vochama Vipanyaya Ukteshashasya Manesha Yah Pura Pashyaduttare Yuge Brahmane Patireto Sam Karmara Ivadhemata Devanam Apyavyavarge Asataha Sadajayata Devanam Yage Prathame Asataha Sadajayata Tadasha Anvajayanta Taduttanupadasapari. Let us with tuneful skill proclaim these generation of gods, that one may see them when these hymns are chanted in future age. These Brahmanaspati produced with blast and smelting like a smith existence in an earlier age of gods from non-existence sprang. Existence is the earliest age of gods, from non-existence sprang. Therefore, thereafter were the regions born. This sprang from the productive power. So 20 hymns of 20th Kanda of Atharva Veda deal with electrical energy and atomic energy. Upanishads are rich in scientific thinking. Panchakosha Vidya of Taittiriya Upanishad explains the evolution of life. Prashnopanishad brings out the functions of different vayus in our body. Chandogya Upanishad explains the omnipresence of God through an experiment. So these Upanishads are experimental and they are towards science. So our great philosopher and thinker, Dr. Radhakrishnan, says that a little knowledge takes you away from science, but more of knowledge brings you closer to science. So this is that is why we have to have the proper knowledge to know about the scientific heritage in India. It is the common notion of the people all over the world that no doubt India is culturally rich, and also it is rich in adhyatmic heritage. But how the scientific heritage, how can we claim the scientific heritage is the question. So the Shanti mantra, Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is the definition or the explanation for zero and also for infinity. See, Purnam Adaha, that is complete. complete. That means the Brahman is complete. This is complete. This means the world is complete. And the complete world comes from the complete Brahman. And when the complete world is taken out from complete Brahman remains the same. It is always complete. So if you add infinity to infinity, it is infinity. If you add if you deduct infinity from infinity, it is infinity. And if you multiply infinity by infinity, it is infinity. And even the same for zero. So this is the loud thinking of our ancestors. And then along with Vedas, many other branches of science evolved in our country: Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Sthapatya Veda, that is sculpture or architecture, and Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Chandas, Jyotisha, Nirukta, and all these are the uh, different branches of knowledge or different branches of science that were taught in ancient period in our country. And our ancestors have given us the knowledge of Bhauta Shastra, that is physics, Rasayana Shastra, chemistry, animal studies, the study of astronomy, uh, the study of mathematics, and other branches of science. So we know that Ayurveda is the most ancient medicinal system which is prevailing from 5,000 years. So it is noteworthy that today all over the world the Panchakarma treatment of Ayurveda is being practiced. And also the to keep our uh, adhi, that is mental health, we have the practice of yoga. Nowadays, the yoga abhyasa has become compulsory in the curriculum, and even the schools and colleges are teaching yoga and knowing the benefits of that. Knowing the benefits of yoga, even on June 21st of every year, the Universal Yoga Day is celebrated. So this is the uh, honor given to our ancient science, yoga. And also we have uh, that is human biology, zoology, poultry sciences, fisheries, botany, including agricultural sciences and all. And Ayurveda includes all the 8 branches of today's uh, medicinal system. Kaya Chikitsa, that is general medicine; Shalya Tantra, general surgery; Shalakya Tantra, ophthalmology including ENT and dentistry; Bhuta Vidya, psychiatry including demonology; Kaumara Bhrutyam, pediatrics including obstetrics and gynecology; Agata Tantram, toxicology; Rasayana Tantram, immunology including geriatrics; Vajikarana Tantram, science of aphrodisiac including sexology. So all these, all the 4 Vedas are rich in the knowledge of the medicinal science. And it also includes Aushadha Jnanam, that is pharmacology. And we have the important works of Ayurveda, that is Charaka and Sushruta, they are the very famous doctors of ancient India. Charaka is for Kaya Chikitsa, and Sushruta is the first surgeon in this world. Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita, Madhavakarasya Madhava Nidanam, and Sarangadhara Samhita of Sarangadhara, Bhavaprakasha Samhita of Bhavamishra, and these are all the important works on Ayurveda. Madanapala Nighantu, Raja Nighantu, Bhavaprakasha Nighantu, Rajavallabha Nighantu, Kayyapadeva Nighantu, Priya Nighantu, and others will help us in uh, knowing more about Ayurveda, and also it includes Garbha Vijnana and Bhruna Vijnana. And in chemistry also, India excel from times immemorial. And we know that the Sindhu civilization is one of the most ancient civilizations of the world. And there, if we recall the study of our history from our high school or from our college, we have come to know that there were cities which were very well planned. There were very broad roads in the city, and there were common baths, and the granaries were there to store the cereals, and also there were multi-storied buildings which were built of burnt bricks. So this city planning was not possible without the development of science and technology, isn't it? So uh, if we go back to the to our ancient days, so from when can we say that science existed in India? From where did the seed of science was sown? From which time it was sown? We know that Kalpa Vedanga is the Vedanga which deals about which explains us about the performance of different kinds of sacrifices. So, long termed sacrifices, which was longing last for 12 years or 16 years, were called as satras. So, these satras were performed on the banks of rivers because many people had to be gathered for that. The whole family or the whole village or the whole country had to participate in that yaga or yajna or in that satra. For that, uh, the food supply was to be there, and the storage of food was to be taken place, and the Vasati Vyavastha, that is the uh, dwelling place, was to be there. And also, we say that the yajnas or satras were performed for the sake of purification of the environment, or Loka Kalyanartham, for the welfare of the environment. So the wood, the holy wood that is being burnt, that is being used for the sacrifice, is the are the medicinal plants. And also the ajya is used as the ghee. So these are the substances which purify the environment. So when we have come to know that when in 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy took place, the people who had the knowledge of this burned the ghee, and there the calamity was less. That is, there the much of death didn't happen there. But where this knowledge was not there, the loss of life was there. So this knowledge is being given to us from our ancestors, and this is being followed in each and every families by generation after generations. So this is the gift of our ancestors. So when these are the things which we have to know. And also about rasa shastra, that is chemistry. See, we have seen the pottery parts and the glass beads and the alloys, bronze and brass and all, and the medicines. These are all were used in ancient times. So this bronze or alloys of metals like copper, bronze were used for in producing yantras, that is machineries, and the vessels which we used to store the food items, and in producing wheel, and in producing weapons, and the usage of daily utensils. All these are uh, were known to our ancestors. And the best example for this best knowledge of metallurgy in ancient India is the Vishnu Stambha, which is standing since 2500 years in near uh, Qutub Minar in Delhi. So it has not got rested. It was erected at the time of Ashoka, and it is not even though it is being exposed itself to uh, the nature, that is the sun, rain and wind and whatnot. It has not rusted. It is said that it is the purest form of steel which has been ever been produced. So the scientists from all over the world are coming and experimenting on this, and but they are not knowing the composition. How did they come to such purification? And not only in Delhi, but the Puri girdles of Puri Jagannatha temple, and some of the tablets and inscriptions which are inscribed on this steel or uh, copper or iron is maintained in its purest form. So this shows that our ancestors knew about the processing of metals very well. And the Arthashastra of Chanakya tells in detail about the extraction of ore from the mines, and also the extraction of metals from ores, and we will come to know it in our coming lectures about this. And if we come to the biology or life science, see, there are many instances. They were our ancestors were keen observers of nature, and they also have composed books, especially on Gajashastra and Ashwashastra. See, in Ashwashastra and Gajashastra, they say number of species of horses and elephants which which we are not seeing now. In Gajashastra of Udayana, he says about a blue elephant which we cannot find now, which has become extinct now. So their nature, because they had to study the nature of these animals, because they had to live amidst them, and so they were the keen observers of nature, and they were the keen observers of the nature of animals, and also uh, the environment. And they give much importance to the environment also, and about the purification of environment, to keep clean our environment, the importance was given. And also they say that panchamra ropi narakam nayati. They say that one who plants 5 mango plants will never attains hell. That is that which is helpful to others. We always should do the work which is helpful to others. They say that was their motto. And also the uh, in uh, Arthashastra of Chanakya, he says that he punishes the people who contaminate, who pollute the rivers and lakes. So, and he says that the fine should be, he says that they should be the people who contaminate or who pollute the rivers and pools with human excretions should be punished, and they should be fined. So this shows the uh, interest in the or interest in keeping the ecosystem uh, pure, and also we have to live with that echo. And coming to the uh, knowledge of mathematics and astronomy, we have a lot of information about it. And it is said that a Rigvedic seer by name has given 10 to the power of 12, that is the highest number. So Alberuni, in his Alberuni's India, is full of praise for India. He says that India has to be praised for this uh, discovery, because in all other countries of the world, the highest number counted was only 1,000, whereas in India, it has been counted up to 10 to the power of 12, that is Parartha. And also we have number system, and we know that the decimal system and the numbers that we are using, 1 to 0 to 9, are the contribution of India to the world, and we should know this. And also the velocity of light is given in the 14th century, before the Westerners gave us. And also the 10th mandala of Rigveda contains most of the uh, astronomical knowledge about the solar system. And Suryaha nudeti nastancha gacchati. That is, the sun never rises nor sets, is the uh, knowledge of Rigveda. And also In astronomy, we say that Suryaha Prithivya Mitro Dadhara Prithivim Utadyam. This is the mantra from Rig Veda 359.1. And our ancestors knew about the moon, that is, it reflects the light of the sun. Surya Rashmihi Chandrama Tirati Gandharvaha, say Taittiriya Samhita 3479. Prana Naiti Kalam Bhuhu. That is, Aryabhata says that Prana Naiti Kalam Bhuhu. That is, Earth is going towards the sun daily by 1 by 2916 radians. So it is that is 1 by 21600, 1 by 21,600th part of a circle is taken. Prana is 4 seconds. So in 4 seconds, the earth is moving towards the sun by 1 by 21,600 part of a circle is given by Aryabhata, that is in 5th century. And also the zero is the contribution of India to the world. And also in architecture, we know that temple architecture. So the reference to temples we can find in Ramayana also. And all the temples, the South Indian temples, especially the temples of Halebedu and Beluru, tells us the expertise of architecture or sculptures of South Indians. And also, the concept of matter is dealt in a detailed manner. All the schools of philosophy have contributed to this aspect. For example, I have taken the concept of matter of Jains. They call the matter as Pudgala. They define it as Purana Galanabhyam Pudgalaha. That is continuous association and dissociation of molecules, which is very much true. And also, about the knowledge of eclipse, that is यं वै सूर्यः स्वर्भानुः तमसा विद्यदासुरः अत्र यस्तमन्वविन्दन् न हि अन्ये अशक्नुवन्. So it is said that the first record of Surya Grahana, that is the solar eclipse, is recorded in Rigveda Samhita 541. And it is said that only the race of Atri sage could know this, and other could not follow the calculation of this Grahana. And also the sculpture and mathematics, many mathematicians are there from Lagadha to the 20th century, that is Srinivasa Ramanujan, who have contributed to the field in this. And we are going to have all the branches of science one by one in the next lecture series. And it is important that India has had a rich scientific heritage, and also the battery what we are having now, it is also the Indian contribution. It is contained in Agastya Samhita, and Bharadwaja's Vimana Shastra tells us about the construction or the of about 8 kinds of aeroplanes. And there was a technology which was there. By sitting in your place, you could know the conversation taking place in the enemy's aeroplane. And also this is a kind of radar, I believe. And Bhagavata contains this. I want to tell you this story. The sage Kardama takes his wife in an aeroplane for a jolly trip. So they traveled for 100 years. So when his wife asked what is the time we had traveled, they had traveled for 100 years. And then that flight or spaceship did not stop for 100 years, did not have any trouble. It did not, the fuel was not necessary for that for 100 years. And we have to think, how was this possible in that remote past? So we have to say, and we have to know that all these things were not mere superstitions, and they have done with experiment. And Rasaratnakara is the chemistry work where Nityanatha says, Matra yuktihi kvachin nasti sampradayo nacha kvachit tena siddhir natatrasti raseva rathayane vaidye vade prayoge cha tasmad yatno maya kritaha. So this expresses that the experimental results are very important, and one has to do the experiment himself and know the result, and then only he should come to the conclusion. And even in our heritage, it is said that jnana will not become the knowledge without experience. So experiential knowledge itself becomes jnana. So when let us take the example of Taittiriya Upanishad Bhriguvalli, that is Panchakosha Vidya. Here, many aspects are to be identified, and we have to see this mantra from different views. Yes, let us come to the story. He says, Bhrigu goes to his father Varuna and asks him to teach him about Brahma. So he says, as it is all the things which is created, protected, and destructed by one thing, that is Brahma, he says. That is Utpatti Sthiti Laya Karanam Brahma. So he did not understand He wanted more of explanation, and he says that he wanted his son to experience himself. And again he says, eyes are Brahman, ears are Brahman, our skin is Brahman, and our walk is Brahman, and our words are Brahman. So how can did we understand anything? No. How can we say that our eyes is God, our ears are God, our skin is God, our body is God? No, it was not possible to understand for him. So his father wanted him to have the experiential knowledge. So he asked him to do penance. So he did penance. Penance is nothing but concentrating on some aspect. And at the first stage, he started thinking. He thought, Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat, Annadhyeva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante, Anne Najatani Jivanti, Annam Prayanti Abhisamvishanti iti. So he thought, see the food. Without food, no creation can be there, no protection can be there, and no devastation can be there. So I found out very well that the food is Brahman. It was where he became very happy, and he was returning to his father to share his knowledge. While he was coming, he thought that, see, food is perishable and Brahman is imperishable. So food is not Brahman. When he approached his father to teach him Brahman, he again tells him to go back to penance. He again did penance, concentrated. By concentration, he came to know that Prano Brahmeti Vyajanat, Pranadhyeva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante, Pranena Jatani Jivanti, Pranam Prayanti Abhisamvishanti iti. Then he could know that prana or the air, vital energy, air. See, we can withstand without food, or can we live without air? Not even for a second. So he came to the conclusion that yes, pranamaya kosha, that is, prana is the Brahman. By prana itself, this whole universe is created, sustained, and devastated. And he wanted to share, when he was about to share this knowledge to his father, he came to know that this air exists only in this atmosphere, but Brahman exists everywhere. So prana is not Brahman. And again he was asked to do penance by his father, and again he did penance. Mano Brahmeti Vyajanat, Manasa Heva Kalvimani, Manaso Heva Kalvimani Bhutani Jayante, Manasa Jatani Jivanti, Manah Prayanti Abhisamvishanti iti. Yes, we know that if we mind, we can do wonders. But if we are not in good moods, we will not do anything. So the mind is the real cause for the creation, the sustenance and devastation of this universe. And he was very happy. And again, when he was about to approach his father, he thought that, see, our mind is changing, but Brahman is not changing. So this is not, mind is not Brahman. And again he was asked to do penance. And then he went and did penance and came to the conclusion that Vijnanam Brahmeti Vyajanat, Vijnanadhyeva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante, Vijnanena Jatani Jivanti, Vijnanam Prayanti Abhisamvishanti iti. So he came to know that this Vijnana is special knowledge. And the special, now we have the specialists in modern era. specialists in every aspects are there. So special knowledge, by the special knowledge, it is the cause of creation, sustenance and devastation of this universe. And then came to, when he was about to approach his father, he came to know that special knowledge is not one, but the Brahman is one. Ekam sat vipra bahudha vadanti, says Rigveda. So again he went to penance. Anando brahmeti vyajanat anandadhyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante anande najatani jivanti anandam prayanti abhisamvishanti iti. So the cause of creation, sustenance and devastation is the real bliss. He became one with the universe, one with that bliss. And then when he did not return, his father came to know, understood that his son had become Brahmajnani and he has got the bliss. And this is the bliss that we have to attain. And this is the aim of life given to us by our motherland, by our great India. So, where it is, so the knowledge doesn't come from outside, it is within. Only thing is, we have to unveil the ignorance. See, when the sun rises, when we keep open the windows and doors open and we unveil the curtains, the sun rays come into us. In the same way, when we unveil the curtains of ignorance, we can get the light of knowledge. So this light of knowledge is given by our ancestors, and the scientific explanation of this will be given in the coming sessions. So thank you all for patient hearing, and thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Thank you once again, and let us meet in the next session for the a knowledge of a physical world. Thank you. नमांसि. नमो गुरुभ्यः, नमो अर्भकेभ्यः.